Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So this is your fourth stimulus check update. You guys have to know that the House of Representatives is scheduled to vote to advance the bipartisan infrastructure bill and the Democrats' $3.5 trillion spending plan. In addition, millions of families across the US have or will soon receive the child tax credit payments. Even before the crisis, one major issue that caused hardship across the United States was often ignored.
Still some language that we have to deal with in terms of health, beyond the testing, tracing, treatment, mask, all that. We have to have better language, improve the language on healthcare providers as well as the vac. And then in terms of money in the pockets, we're still fighting for an earned income tax credit, child tax credit, refundability for the low-income family, working families.
And that was childhood hunger. Feeding America, a nonprofit bank network, has reported that nearly 12 million children in the United States face food insecurity. To address this issue and reduce child poverty, the U.S. Congress passed the American Rescue Plan, which included an expansion of the child tax credit payments. And new research from the U.S. Census Bureau shows that the first payment of the CTC cut rates of hunger across the U.S. historically. The data released late last week shows an overall decline in the shares of adults in households experiencing food insufficiency. What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Will President Biden get the job done and send out the fourth stimulus check? Leave a comment down below saying yes or no. And here's what I want you to know about Speaker Pelosi and her thoughts on the stimulus relief.
All the unresolved issues. What is your best language? What is our best language? And let's see where we are. Now let's weigh the equities. We all want to get an agreement because people need it and it's urgent and our economy needs it.
By the way, the House of Representatives will return to Washington, D.C. next week. And this sets the latest test for President Biden's economic agenda to be approved. You guys also have to know that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi plans to hold a procedural vote as soon as Monday to move forward with a handful of Democratic priorities, which includes the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure legislation passed by the Senate, and a $3.5 trillion Democratic plan to expand the social safety net. Folks, Speaker Nancy Pelosi and many other Democrats do want to help out the American people. They want to send out more stimulus relief.
And we want to put money in the pockets of the American people so that they can have some confidence and spend in our consumer economy to demand and create jobs.
And folks, that is great news for us. Some Republicans like Mitch McConnell do not want to send out the stimulus payments. Everybody, do you believe that Speaker Pelosi can unite the Republicans and Democrats in sending out the fourth stimulus check? Leave a comment down below saying yes or no. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. And share this video with your friends and family, because I'm going over the very important stimulus check information. So be sure to stay until the end of this video, everybody.
Have the negotiation, but I'm optimistic. It is, legislation is tough because you're coming from two different perspectives on it. But as long as we know that we want to keep the American people safe, that means though that we have to support our state and local, our first responders, our healthcare providers, our teachers, etc.
First of all, everybody, Nancy Pelosi aims to join the Senate in passing a budget resolution, and this is the first step toward Democrats approving their massive spending plan without a single Republican vote. So this spending plan isn't expected to get through the Senate for weeks or even months, which would put off the final passage of the infrastructure bill, if all goes according to Pelosi's plan. In an effort to keep progressives on board with the smaller infrastructure plan, Nancy Pelosi has said that she would not take up either economic plan until the Senate passes both of them. And opposition from within her caucus has threatened to derail the Speaker's plans, and this leaves Democrats looking for a path forward as they return to the Capitol. A group of 9 centrist House Democrats on Monday reiterated their calls for the chamber to vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill before it considers the spending on social programs and climate policy. As Democrats hold a narrow majority in the House, the 9 lawmakers could sink the budget resolution on their own, delaying progress on an economic agenda the Democrats hope will boost households and improve their fortunes in the next year's midterm. It is very unclear if Pelosi will change her plans before the next week. And the White House this week endorsed her strategy to hold a procedural vote to advance the infrastructure, social spending, and voting rights plan, then pass the budget resolution. In a letter to her caucus this week, she said delays in passing the measure would jeopardize the party's policy goals. She wrote, "When the House returns on August 23rd, it is essential that we pass the budget resolution, so that we can move forward united and determined to realize President Biden's transformative vision." If Pelosi pulls off her plan, the infrastructure bill would await a final vote in the House. While both chambers of Congress go about writing the $3.5 trillion plan, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer gave committees a September 15 target to finish their portions of the legislation. The bill is expected to include a Medicare expansion, universal pre-care, and wider access to paid leave and childcare. The proposal may get scaled back as Senate Democrats, like Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, criticize the $3.5 trillion price tag. One Democratic vote against the proposal would sink it in the Senate, which is so far split 50-50 by party. The 9 House Democrats have pushed for final passage of the infrastructure bill, as the argue a later vote would delay projects to renew American transportation, broadband, and infrastructure. What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Do you agree with the $3.5 trillion price tag for the new spending plan? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.
I've just met with the Vice President, Secretary Blinken, Secretary Austin, National Security Advisor Sullivan, and other members of the National Security Leadership Team, the Situation Room, to discuss our ongoing efforts to evacuate American citizens, third country civilians, Afghan allies, and vulnerable Afghans. And I want to provide the American people with a brief update on the situation in Afghanistan. Since I spoke to you on Monday, we've made significant progress. We've secured the airport, enabling flights to resume. Not just military flights, but civilian charters from other countries, and the NGOs taking out civilians and vulnerable Afghanis. And now we have almost 6,000 troops on the ground, including the 82nd Airborne, providing runway security, the Army 10th Mountain Division standing guard around the airport, and the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit assisting the civilian departure. This is one of the largest, most difficult airlifts in history, and the only country in the world capable of projecting this much power on the far side of the world with this degree of precision is the United States of America. We've already evacuated more than 18,000 people since July and approximately 13,000 since our military airlift began on August the 14th. Thousands more have been evacuated on private charter flights facilitated by the U.S. government. These numbers include American citizens and permanent residents, as well as their families. It includes SIV applicants and their families, those Afghans who have worked alongside us, served alongside